Hello there, folks. Over the years, I've done a few videos about British comics. Like the Beano, the Dandy, the Beezer. Yeah, I have now, I think, like 3 videos about that. But I haven't done very many British movies. So let me ask you a question. Are you being served? Yeah, Are You Being Served? The movie. Now, this is from 1977, made in the UK, of course, based on the very popular Are You Being Served? British sitcom, which aired on BBC from like 1972 to 1983, 85, something like that. Had like 10 seasons. I remember this show a lot from when I was a kid, actually. I used to see it all the time. Not entirely by choice, but because we only had one TV in the house, and this was one of my mom's very favorite TV shows. I saw this in the thrift store and I was like, I gotta see this, because I remember all these characters. Okay, so it's like a sitcom, it's a half-hour sitcom, taped in front of a live audience. And it's basically about a department store, like a fancy department store. I'm not talking Walmart here. I'm talking like Hudson Bay Company, Simpson Sears, I don't know, like somewhere on like Fifth Avenue or something. I've never been there. I'm Canadian, eh? Eaton's? Anybody remember that? Anyway, it's like a department store, and you have like the men's clothing section, happens to be on the same floor as the ladies' clothing section. So you have a couple of ladies saleswomen, and then you have several menswear salesmen. And then, sort of like peripheral characters. And each one of these characters is their own little archetype and their own little... it's a sitcom. I'll just tell you their names here. And I'm going to go by the pictures that are on the box here. First of all, you get Miss Brahms. She's the very attractive Cockney-speaking ladies' wear sales assistant. Then you get Mr. Rumbold, who is like basically the manager of the entire floor of this multi-story department store. Very by the book, but he's just kind of bumbling and inept. Then you get Mrs. Slocum. Mrs. Slocum is probably the biggest star in here, or one of the main characters in here. She's an older lady. I'm supposing she's supposed to be in her 50s or so. I think she's supposed to be playing older than the actress actually was at the time. She's always got a different color hairstyle, but she's an older lady, and she's very British, and she's very prim and proper, and she is unanimous in that. Anyway, there's lots of jokes about Mrs. Slocum, mainly to do with, she talks about her cat all the time, but she refers to her cat as her pussy. So jokes abound. Then you get like Mr. Granger, who's like the super old guy that's basically just about ready to retire or about ready to die. On a sad note, the actor actually did die shortly after this movie was made. You also get Captain Peacock, another major character in here. He's like the floor walker, so he's like the supervisor of the men's and ladies department, and he's always giving everybody shit and trying to keep them all in line and keep them from slacking off and stuff and fooling around at work. Yeah, he's like ex-military, and he commands all this respect, but really he's just kind of an idiot too, and he's always lusting after Miss Brahms. Then you get the main star of this show, or at least he eventually became the main star, and that's this guy, Mr. Humphries. Mr. Humphries is, shall we say, flamboyant. He is the most overtly gay character that I think I had ever seen in any form of entertainment until at least the 80s or 90s. But, there are no secrets here. This is 1970s UK, and takes place in London, and it's, after all the, turmoil of the late 60s and early 70s, I mean, they're letting their freak flag fly here, man. And then you get Mr. Lucas. Mr. Lucas is like, he's a womanizer. He's like dirt poor. He's, a young salesman, young hip guy, bit of a dirtbag, constantly screwing up and trying to get out of trouble or, trying to get out of work and stuff like that. He's really, I think, was meant to be the series protagonist, but not as many jokes revolve around him as around some of the others, like Mrs. Slocum or Mr. Humphreys. The cast, they're all really good in here. Now, I've been talking mostly about the sitcom so far. The show itself was filmed in front of a live audience. But it's so weird that this one, there's no laugh track, there's no live audience. It's filmed on a stage. Probably the same set as they used for the sitcom, but with different cameras. It looks more cinematic. It looks like more of a movie production, and they actually leave the set and they go to, they film, I think, on location at one of the London airports, and that's it. The rest of it's all on stage. Now, the story behind this movie is that, the Grace Brothers department store is closing down for renovations for an entire month. And rather than pay everybody their salaries and stuff because they can't work, they're being compensated with a free trip to Spain. So the company flies them all out there. Basically, they go to like this resort in Spain, and hijinks and sex jokes and innuendo ensue. Yeah, there's tons of sex jokes in here. It's like, I can't stress that enough. You got Mr. Lucas is always hitting on Miss Brahms. Captain Peacock's always hitting on Miss Brahms. Mrs. Slocum's always hitting on Captain Peacock. There's tons of like gay jokes in there too. It's better that it was a subject of humor than a subject of hatred. But it wasn't that funny though. Like, I used to laugh at this when I was a kid, but mostly because I was like young and my mom laughed her ass off at this. And I can get why. The jokes are in your face, like, Mrs. Slocum talking about her pussy all the time. Just nonstop innuendo for the entire show. And that's what made it so popular. People loved it. Now, I guess rather than like tell you the plot, I think I'll just read you what's on the back of the box here, because I think this says it all. Hilarious hijinks from the Grace Brothers team as they troop off to sunny Spain for the staff trip of a laugh time. Cheerfully, they disgrace themselves on Costa Blanca. Mr. Humphreys is free, while Captain Peacock wants everything under the sun from Miss Brahms. I had trouble reading this line. Mrs. Slocum only hopes her pussy survives as the comedy capers carry on abroad in the funniest film you will ever witness. Yeah, I don't know about that. But that one line was pretty funny. What kind of crazy ass sex resort are they going to here? But yeah, it's BBC, British comedy. It's what you would expect, and as racy as you would expect from 1970s UK television. Remember Benny Hill? Like, every second episode of that, you could see boobs in Benny Hill. And Monty Python even. And, I much preferred both of those shows over Are You Being Served? But I thought it was interesting, and I caught this movie that was made in, like, the 6th or 7th season of that show in 1977. When it came to, like, the sex jokes and stuff, Are You Being Served serves it up over and over and over again. This movie itself, I didn't laugh that much, or really kind of at all when I watched it. So I can't give the movie a very high rating, or even really this series. Like, it's just nostalgia is the only thing that it's got going for me. And the realization that, it was a little time capsule, little snapshot of the 70s UK, right? So I don't know. I guess I'm going to give this tape, Are You Being Served, the movie, I'll give it like a C+. It is what it is. It's not drop dead hilarious, but it's, if you're into dumbass, asinine, lowbrow 70s humor, you're gonna love this. Yeah, but for me, I don't know, C+. I know I'm on a little bit of a roll with the British stuff right now, but yeah, this is probably going to be the last British movie I do for a while, unless I review a movie and I don't realize that it's British. I'm sure there's going to be British people in it, because they're in everything, man. The British are coming. And they've been coming forever. That sounds like a joke that should be in this movie. Anyway, have a good one out there, everybody.